Welcome to another episode of the Founder to Founder podcast. My name is Aaron Spivak, born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, here in Miami, and I've built multiple 7, 8, and 9-figure brands and recently just had the third largest D2C transaction in Canadian history. But today is not about me, because today you get to listen to another incredible story of the founder behind the founder, and we get to dive deep into what it takes to build something incredible. It's not always the tips and tricks, it's how you go about your life. So join us for another incredible podcast at the Founder to Founder. Today on the Founder to Founder podcast, we have the legendary Montreal native Jake Karls, the co-founder and Rainmaker at Midday Squares, building the fastest growing chocolate company in the world. You have seen this guy on podcasts, on LinkedIn, socials, or maybe on your favorite stage. He came all the way to Miami to speak to Chris and I today to talk about all things being unapologetically yourself, showing up, building momentum, and diving deep into the person behind the founder. Join us today for an incredible podcast with Jake Karls. Well, we got Mr. Jake Karls here on one of the first episodes of Founder to Founder. Jake, thank you for coming to Miami.
I didn't get the first episode.
This might be the first episode.
That would be hard.
We don't know how we're going to roll it out.
If I do the opening, that's huge momentum. Flew all the way to Miami for this.
Jake, this is going to be awesome. We have so much in common. We're both from Canada. We've been working together for, I don't even know how long. I feel like we've been in each other's lives for 5-6 years.
Feels like even longer. I feel like I knew your family before, and then you came in. You know,
I remember you at Western selling hats.
Days. Oh my god!
Right,
most fun time of my life.
And so, I think what I want to know, and I think where we would start is, sure, we see the dancing, we see all the action, we see Jake the Rainmaker, but we want to know, where does that come from? Where does it begin? Because it doesn't just end up on a LinkedIn video, turning the corner in your hallway. Tell me where this starts for you.
It's the famous hallway, by the way. That's my condo. Everyone asks where that hallway is. I make it look even longer in the camera. It's good. Now, I actually like this question because it comes from insecurity. When I was a kid, I didn't do well in school. I always talk about this. I was the academic that struggled, and all my friends did extremely well. So in order to prove myself, I needed to make noise. And it was coming from a place of proving to external forces to make noise and be the popular one in that group. And as I got through my years, I realized that I love just having fun, and I love just doing as crazy shit as possible because it brought people together. It brought an energy that was contagious. Now, as I continued to struggle through school, that insecurity was pushing further and further and further, until I realized that I need to prove my worth to people. And that's when everything changed. When I was 24, 25, I finally realized that I don't even do it for others. I could do it for myself. Do I enjoy this or do I not enjoy this? And when I was selling hats in college, I was throwing parties. I was having the time of my life. I was living authentically myself, and I didn't really care what was going on around me. It was just I was having fun. So I think that all the dancing, all the fun, all the craziness, all the energy comes from a good place, but it started with an insecurity of trying to prove to people who I am.
So what's the motivation now?
I think I've just leaned into my superpowers a lot more than I have in the past. I realized I'm confident. I used to be scared to public speak. I used to be scared to raise a hand in class. I used to be scared to write an email. When I first started Midday Squares, I was petrified of any type of sales email because I was like, my punctuation's wrong, my spelling's wrong. People would always correct you. They go, oh, you should say the word like this. Or I don't know if it was an ego thing for them. They would always try to correct you. You said it wrong. It's that would kill my energy.
You never do anything right.
Never. And it's like, okay, I get it. I'm not a good speller. I'm also not a good sentence structure, but who the fuck cares, right? And then I realized as I leaned more into that, who the fuck cares mentality, but in a kind way, I started to realize that I am who I am, and I'm going to lean into that because you are your best when you are you. No one could be you. I can't be Chris. I can't be Aaron. Yep. Mm-hmm. I can't do what you guys do. I could do what I do really well, but I have to keep doing that. And that's when I kind of realized when I was 24, 25, lean more into that, and weaknesses got to be given to other people. Delegate it. Mm-hmm. And I think that changed my life.
No, that's a good point. I do think about all the people that never ended up doing the shit that they wanted to do. It's because they were too busy thinking about everything that they could potentially fuck up, all the things they were bad at. They kept just leaning into that, and they just put themselves in a corner.
Self-limiting, it's those limiting beliefs. And I have them still today, by the way. Yeah. The other day I was scared to do something. It was just me telling myself I can't do it. And then I actually thought back to when Aaron brought a presentation up and to Affiliate Summit, and you brought up the self-limiting beliefs. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm the problem right now. It's me telling myself I can't do it. Yeah. And I ended up doing the thing. And I was just like, that's crazy. You have the power in your mind to just shift it and cross that line if you choose to.
But it doesn't just, a lot like, if I'm listening to this right now, it's like, this is amazing. You know, you connected to your authentic self, and not only that, you found a way to build a business around it, right? That's like a home run, right? Most people don't even get to the point where they can understand their authentic self, because what you just essentially admitted was, I realized that I can't do all these other functions of a business. And as an entrepreneur starting out, when you're wearing all the hats, that's a huge pill to swallow. So just tell me, like, how did that come to be? Because you joined this business, it's your sister, it's your family, it's the three of you now, and you're all sitting there, everyone's trying to do everything. Where did it first come about where it's like, guys, I need to focus on my superpower? And what kind of tough conversations did you have to be like, I know you guys want me to do these other things, but I can't?
So, you know, I love it because when we start the business, it's my sister, my brother-in-law. So they're really good operators. They're very good with like manufacturing, with like R&D, with execution of ops, right? And in my past businesses that I've had, I failed in the ops side. I honestly couldn't run a company. Like, I was a bad manager. I was bad at what I was doing. I didn't know how to delegate properly, and people would quit and all that stuff. And I ended up failing in the business. So when I joined this, they said to me specifically, you're going to blow up the brand. You're going to make as much noise as possible and build the community. You are good at that. We're going to do everything else. But at the time, felt really uncomfortable. I was like, I need a management role. If I'm going to own 30% of this business, I need to feel like I'm a manager and I'm an owner. I wanted to feel it. And making noise and just blowing the brand up felt like that wasn't the case. So my ego got in the way, and I joined in as CMO. And the reason why I chose CMO was because Chief Marketing Officer, their Chief Executive Officer, co-CEOs, I'll be the Chief Marketing Officer. And I was fucking brutal. People, every hire we had left. Every single thing was falling apart. We would hire someone, they would want to leave because they couldn't work with me. I was just literally bad at the job. And finally, after like 8 months of doing that, in therapy, we talked about it, my partners and I, and we're like, there's like, Jake, you need to figure it out. Like, this isn't going well. And we had this constructive conversation, and I finally realized, like, I'm not this role. I need to do what I love doing. I need to do what actually makes me feel alive every day, and I need to do what actually makes people feel something. And that's when I stepped down, and I said, I want to be managed within the organization. And it was a huge like shift off the bricks off my shoulder. And I started to just make noise, dance, have fun, and make friends for the business. And next thing you know, all the opportunities started coming to the business, and we started growing. And it was just a respect from my partners, just saying, take your time to figure yourself out. We're going to continue running this business. You do whatever you need to do to figure out what you want to do in this business. And it's a choice. And that's what we did. And I ended up becoming a Rainmaker, which is basically someone that goes and makes friends all day for the business in sales, marketing, finance, media. And it helps my team do their jobs a lot better because they have friendships with people. And I just say that ego is a big thing you got to work on when you're starting a business or in life. Like, forget about just business entrepreneurship or founders. You got to drop the ego a lot of the time, because at the end of the day, that's where the story's telling yourself to do things. And I was telling myself, if I'm an owner, I need to have an ownership position in quotations, and that killed me. That made me depressed.
Sounds like some tough conversations though along the way, right? Like, you sit here 5 years later, and it seems so easy, and like you got there.
Communication.
But along the way, like, were they really cool you off the bat, like not being in the ops, not being in the business, and you're just out there creating
Therapy
hype?
helped us that.
How'd you start that?
I think the therapy, we go once every 10 days together. It allows us to actually have these hard conversations that, like, you know, if you feel that I'm not doing as much, or, you know, my partner's not doing as much, we can have those conversations to balance and get aligned. And I think that working through those conversations allowed us to build a lot of trust with each other. And the trust is, I know that I'm really good at what I do. You're really good at what you do. When you put it together, this is a tripod, a very foundationally strong tripod. And I really do believe we're the best at what we do. Individually in terms of our skill sets, and I'm really horrible at a lot of other things. And, you know, we've recently brought on a COO and a CFO who've been there, done that, scaled these businesses to over 100 million in the food space. And I see the skill set that they're bringing. I never had that skill set, neither did my partners. So they're bringing that systematic, bureaucratic ability to scale this business foundationally, but we weren't able to do that. So you got to also know when to, you know, let go a little bit and allow people to build for you and with you. And I think that that's something huge. So, yeah. Sorry, a little Fitbit. I'm on the Google.
No, you know, like, a lot of the founders within our community, and also this being now our, 5th, 6th, 7th businesses, it's like having those hard conversations with the founders is so critical, and probably doomsday for 99% of brands is not, right? It's like
they fail because of partnership conflict. You know, I believe that communication can kill a business, kill a relationship in life. And we protect that through therapy, and we found this counselor through other founders that were using this at a very large company, and they were dealing with this to work on their partnership. And it's a brilliant idea because at the end of the day, you get to the conversation, and when everyone shows up, it means you're aligned to work on this. So we like to call it ping pong. You go there, we're going to rally an argument, and we're going to get through it. And when we leave, it could be a 2-hour session, a 3-hour session. It ends up getting somewhere. And I think that for us, especially with my sister and I go back, we have past history. As kids growing up, we had some tension, and that comes back in the business, by the way. So working through that sometimes will just be a duo session, not a tripod session. And he's available almost 24 hours. So again, our investors love this line item. That's just therapy. And it just every year just goes up even more and more because things just get a little bit harder,
But what do you say to the people who have a brand or starting a company, but they don't have the midday square money, right? They can't afford that line item because that just seems out of this world. How do they handle that conflict?
I think a better investment that's more affordable would. It's not for promo for you guys, but is to join like a founders club. No, I swear, like I'm not saying this because of you guys. No, I think it's critical to not feel alone, and I think a lot of part of communication is. Who else is going through something similar? How can I have conversations with them that are just real conversations? Can I apply that now to my partnership? Because at the end of the day, a lot of us just don't have access to those people in our lives. You could follow people on social media and get inspired and all this stuff, but you're not having that deep conversation with them. So I think joining a group like Founders Club actually can help people. And this is not a planned promotion. No, this is
we'll
just
take it.
We'll take it.
Then I think as you build your business, having a guided professional to guide conversations is the next step throughout that concept.
You're so right, because most of the time in life, like when you need advice and you need help, you needed it 2 or 3 months ago. You don't need it today.
Nope.
If you need it today, it's too late.
It's late because
having that community there for you is like it's
critical.
It's vital.
It's a lonely journey. You said peel back the onion before. I think that what I got wrong with entrepreneurship was I thought it's the most glamorous, overnight success story. I was conned into that at the beginning when I was 21. And I thought, you build something for 3 years and it sells for $1 billion. And that does happen, by the way, occasionally. But I had this end goal of the $1 billion. It was just that was always in my head. Yeah. And then when things didn't happen, I realized my expectation, the gap of reality, start to create a major depression. And I start to feel really lonely. And when I talk about my buddies, none of them are entrepreneurs. They're all, great jobs, great career professionals. They would just not relate. And I would feel even more alone from that. So having either somebody that's in your corner that has been through this process or not, or even a guidance counselor, let's call it, or a therapist, really helps along the way to just get you feeling, on flow. I call it flow. And expectation meets reality is critical.
One thing I want to bring up is something that, you probably realize now because you do a lot of speaking and you go to schools, we do stages together.
Yep.
Is a lot of people use you as a case study in their own business. But there's the other side of it where being the Rainmaker, being at the forefront of the brand, not only comes with a tremendous amount of vulnerability that you have to get out there and be the face of this brand, but on the flip side, tell me about your concerns around now everything that you do in your personal life is a representation of the brand. And that's not an easy thing. It's easy to handle when the brand is small and you're at, the grocery stores, slinging midday squares and having fun.
Demoing them, chopping them up.
But now when there's, I saw the other day, 50 million bars in a month or a milestone, that's a huge number. And now everything you do, the spotlight is much bigger. I know every entrepreneur struggles with that. They I want to be behind the scenes, but I also want to promote my brand. Tell me how you manage that and how you think about that.
I have fear as we got a little bigger, and we're still getting somewhat started, in my opinion. But I'm a little bit more scared now, which it actually makes me sad because I used to have this more adventurous and curiosity when we started this business and naiveness, which allowed me to do really wild, authentic things and crazy and not have real consequences behind it. Yeah, someone got mad here and there, or someone loved it and laughed and all that stuff. Now, how I act actually makes a difference. So, because I've tied my personal identity to the business tremendously, there's consequences on how I behave. So if I say something and it gets taken in the wrong context, we could actually hurt our sales because they could, a buyer could tell us, you're out. Jake Karls is an asshole, or interpreted as an asshole, which I'm not. And next thing you know, there's a consequence. So I get messages saying all the time from 2 midday squares saying, you guys said the word fuck and did these things. It's rude. I'm not buying your product ever again. And the truth is we have shareholders too. We have people's hard-earned money in our company, right? So at the end of the day, my actions do have a consequence, not just on Jake Karls and my family, but on people I care about and people I respect tremendously. So I think I've gotten more scared, and I got to work on that. I don't have the answer for it, but even on public stages, I worry about what I say because it's being recorded a lot of the time. And what if it's a legal thing that could be used against us? And I was just joking around, and so I've become a little bit more cautious, which I'm actually saddened by than I was 3, 4, 5 years ago. And as we get bigger, I hope to actually bring my child back out rather than bring the child back down.
Because doesn't that limit, this all started by you realizing who your authentic self is, and you were limited by it in your early journey because of your insecurities and people judging you. And you know what? I don't know how to spell. I was the same way, by the way. I used to send out emails and people would respond with like the typo, and I'd be like, dude, come on.
Who corrects people?
This is before GPT. But, then you're like, you know what? I'm going to go and do this anyways. And it worked. And now you have, this big, I told you guys, I got this. But now you're at this new stage where it's like your authentic self is now a problem again, potentially.
Can harm.
And how do you navigate that? Because that's a scary place to be.
So that's on me, right? So for me to figure out, I think that, again, why I started, you're right, was I was authentic and I was fun and I was having the time of life and I was working. And I think finding where that came from is critical now. And I'm working through it, by the way. This is a conversation I'm having with my coach.
Where did it come from?
I think, look, even the other day, I was editing a deck, a presentation. I'm changing my presentation, and I was looking through it, and I was like, I should take this out because this can be used against me down the line. Wow. And I felt really bad. My wife was at the end. She's like, don't take it out. She's like, this is you. And in the moment, it clicked. And I was like, you're right. We're going to keep this, and we're just going to do it. And I think where I have to get to is it's all irrelevant. And if I were to write a book, it's going to be called It's All Irrelevant. And what I mean by that is that in the end, in 100 years from now, we're likely going to be dead.
All of us.
But if I go back 100 years prior, I don't know that many prolific figures from the time. I don't know that many heroes of the time, maybe 5, 10 at most. But what happened to all the legends? There were legends, the millions of people that were doing great shit. Yeah. So knowing that, it's like we're all going to be irrelevant one day. So then fuck everything. Live your life the way you want to live it. And whatever the consequences is, will be the consequences. If you are a good person, which I know you guys are, I gotten to know both you, I believe I'm a good person, then I'm living a fucking good life and I could do that. So I'm trying to lean more into that more as I go, but it's hard every single day. Something comes up and the fear comes up and says, be careful, Jake. Mm-hmm. It's like playing minds. It's a weird thing. So I'm working on it. I don't have the answer. But I definitely need to go back to the time where I was curious and adventurous and just free flowing.
You feel like that's the number one thing you're working on this year? Is trying to get back to that, having fun?
And it brought me to be lethargic and feel lack of motivation to not have that. I'll sit at home and I'll be like, fuck. And I'll just be like, I don't want to work today because I feel like I'm not doing me anymore. And I preach authenticity. So think about it. My whole brand is about be unapologetic, build your brand, build the momentum. And then if I'm struggling with that right now, that's a weird situation. So I'm kind of in this weird up and down right now that I'm trying to balance, and it's hard.
The investors ever give you slack about the brand being too much about the family? And how are they going to sell this brand eventually?
So one time we got a message from one of our investors, one of the venture funds, and I love him. He's a great guy, but he sent us a message after we posted a video called 14 Days Later, No Divorce. And the video was of my partners in year 2 of the business almost getting a divorce because they couldn't co-CEO and be co-married. The intimacy was falling. And we shared the comeback story of how it happened. So the therapy, the breakdowns, the actual raw conversations. And he wrote back after the video went out. He's like, listen, I appreciate the video and I hope that you guys work this through. And I appreciate it. I have respect and love you guys. But please take the video down. It doesn't have to do with selling chocolate bars. So I waited 24 hours. And I tell the story all the time. 24 hours, I was angry because I was like, we're putting our faces on the line. We're putting our lives on the line to build this so we could have a huge outcome for everybody. And I waited 24 hours. I didn't
Why did you wait 24 hours? Was that just like a protocol?
It's like a protocol. I think deep breath to just get the emotions down. Yeah, okay. And then after that, I was logical and I sent him a PDF. And I said, hey, what's up? PDF of 1,000 messages of just people saying, thank you for being real, guys. This is why we love you guys. He responded back saying, I take back what I said. I apologize. You're building friends over customers. And that was the moment I realized that vulnerability, transparency, and sometimes when you're going a little bit more gray or bold area is actually where the magic is created. Mm-hmm. And everyone comes around the block and eventually realizes the power of it. But it's uncomfortable. It's fucking uncomfortable for an investor who has capital in the company. There's a risk. But in life, everything's a fucking risk. Being at a podcast day with you guys in Miami is a risk. Mm-hmm. You know, the camera shut off. The boat next week. You know, it's a huge risk. Yeah, you guys do a big, huge boat thing. Who knows what's, who knows? Yeah. So that's how I've been dealing with that.
You travel a lot. I would say you probably travel more than me.
It's a lot.
Last year, I think I did close to 80 or 90 flights. I would say you're probably
a little bit above.
I think you're in the triple digits. Yeah.
I'm not proud of that.
No, it takes a toll on your body. I know you're married. It takes a toll on your relationships. How do you manage that? Because for me, I remember looking at myself some nights like, what am I doing?
I look at myself sometimes with disgust. Like I'm at the Marriott Residence Inn right now, Miami Beach, and the
nice,
floor
right?
is not the floor. Yeah, the floor is a bit. I just look at myself. I come in there. I'm like, guys, on the road it's in my opinion, it's a mentality. So it's like when I get on the road, I realize if I come home to a hotel, it's no matter how nice it is. It could be the Four Seasons, just gorgeous, great hospitality, or it could be the Marriott Residence Inn, great property, whatever. But it's still lonely. Either way, I'm alone in my bed. I come home to a room that's four walls, and there's no one there but me. And I started to lose the excitement as that was happening. At the beginning, I was like, yeah, fuck, I'm in a different city. I'm fired up. I'm meeting people like you guys, hustling, grinding, having the time of my life. But then it became a little bit like, it started to degrade my body. I started to get my health take a risk. I was getting lazy. I was eating processed food, a ton of processed food. It's easier to get the access to it. Just go downstairs. You get from the Sour Patch Kids downstairs, the big box, unbelievable.
The big box.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You start pooing without the toilet paper on the thing because you're now just lazy. At the hotels, it's your second home. You check for bed bugs every time you go crazy. Like these are the things. Every single time I check for bed bugs, no matter what.
How do you check for the bed bugs?
Oh, dude, I have a whole process.
At the Four Seasons?
Tell me about the process.
JW, anywhere you go.
Tell me about the process.
This is my process. I get off a plane. The first thing I do now is the protocol is go to a grocery store. So I'll go to a natural store, pick up goods, bring them to I have a fridge, and I put the goods in the fridge so I eat cleaner. But when I get there, before putting my bags down, I leave them at the front door. I actually go to the bed. I flip off the sheets. I have my flashlight. I actually look at each level of sheet for about 3 minutes, let's call it, and then I go to the bottom, which is the mattress, and then I pick up the top of the bottom. And I look through the creases throughout the whole side of the bed. After that, if there's no bugs or no eggs, I go to the pillows and I go through the pillows. It's an OCD thing that I have because once I was in New York and I was with my colleague in New York and she went in her room and she started looking through things. I used to just jump on beds and I didn't give a fuck. And I see her going through the bed and she's like, oh shit. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh my God, there's bed bugs. And I was like, what the fuck is bed bugs? I see this fucking nasty thing. I was just laying on the bed next to her in the room next to her, like the other room. And I go, we're getting the fuck out of here. It was 1 a.m. Ever since that moment, it clicked an OCD of mine where no matter where I am, no matter what hotel, I have to check, and it's an anxiety that it takes a toll. But listen, I'm protecting against bed bugs. Now, do I know if it works or you can see the bed bugs? Zero clue. Yeah. But all I know is I feel better when I've checked the creases. I check also the cabinets where they sometimes have like under the bed, you could see they have some have bugs in there. Yeah. Bro, in Tulum, guys, I was in the fucking bed in Tulum. I was with Mike Fata. There was no bed bugs there, by the way, but a great place.
Great resort.
No, great resort, but I've never been to Mexico. So I get there and we're on the sand, right? We're in a beautiful room on the beach. I get there, I'm fired up, feeling good. Mike Fata goes, babe, are you used to Mexico? You don't understand. It's just, I'm like, no, I'm used to it has to be super, super, super clean. And I was like, this is like Mexico. So it was like real life. And I was like, holy fuck. I spend an hour checking the bed there. Mike's like, yo, calm the fuck down. He's like, dude, you got to travel the world a little bit more. Yeah. So in essence, the traveling has taken a toll on me. I've created little hacks here and there, but now with my wife, I'm away all the time, and she feels lonely sometimes too, and so I try to come home faster. I'll take a red eye home instead of leaving the next day. Now, does it help me? No, I'm less energized. I'm less healthy. When I do that, my sleep schedules are brutal. But I believe showing up makes a huge difference in life, and I think every entrepreneur should get on fucking planes, just like Sam Walton did years ago when he built Walmart. He'd go store to store and he'd fly there, because when you meet people, you have the opportunity of serendipity, and serendipity, in my opinion, is the most powerful thing in the world. You don't know where something's going to go, but on a Zoom call, we become lazy, and it's easy to just say, hey, what's up? I don't even listen when I'm Zoom. I'm texting half the time. So when you're in person, you can't do that. Yeah. That's disrespectful. So I don't know. I believe showing up, and I did 100 flights last year, I believe. The year before was 121 or something, 122. It definitely takes a toll. My health takes a toll, and my personal life definitely takes a toll. But I still have this addiction to it, which is a strange thing.
I want to go back real quick because I know having a wife, flying around, it's not easy. It's not easy on a relationship. And then as soon as that relationship fails, like everything else doesn't matter, right? Like you're gonna take your wife over the business, you're taking your wife over anything, hopefully, right? So it's like
some degenerates don't.
Yeah. It's like what are those conversations like lately? How have you guys gotten to a good spot? Because it's like, babe, I don't want you flying today. You need to be home here today. But like at the other end of the spectrum, if you want to live the life that you want to live, you want to have these dreams and have these children and have like this future,
100%.
I have to sacrifice now.
I think entrepreneurship is selfish. and I respect every entrepreneur, by the way, but I believe you have to be honest about the selfishness of building a business. It's your mind is dedicated to this vision, this dream, this baby, let's call it a baby. And you'll do anything in your power, likely if you believe it, to make it happen. That means sacrifices in your personal life, whether it's friends or your wife or your girlfriend or your husband, whatever, your boyfriend, whatever you have. And I think that for me, I had that conversation early on with my wife, and I said to her, like, this journey of Midday Squares is going to take a lot of our life right now. I'm dedicating my life to this for hopefully a better outcome for us. And it sounds selfish to say that, but she said yes. She's like, I'm in on it. And she's been extremely supportive on that, allowing me to travel every week, allowing me to do what I got to do. But at the same time, like, she has demands now and she has things that she wants. And so we have that conversation now, and I'm like, okay, I was selfish for 6.5 years. What can I do now to work with that and actually not be as selfish? And so we're having those, and it's becoming more and more, and we're talking about family down the line and all these things, which changes everything. But I'm scared to grow up. And the truth is that affects everything too, right? It's like, I believe in my head, and this is probably a self-limiting belief, is that if I have kids, which I want to have a squad of 5, potentially 3 to 5 if my wife wants to, will I be traveling all the time? Will I be doing the milk runs?
Yeah.
Will I be going away, doing my hype and all that stuff? Probably not. But maybe growing up isn't a bad thing.
Exactly.
Maybe it leads to me being a greater entrepreneur, right? I don't know. But I think that having that honest communication, like we said before about partnerships, same thing goes with your relationship. And if you're not aligned, it's going to fall apart, and your whole life will, like you said, domino backwards momentum. So her and I have deep communication. We go to therapy together too.
We do.
Not about like sex and shit, like, because we have good sex. I know, I love her. Like, our sex life's unbelievable, and kudos to her. No, seriously, because some of my friends don't even have any sex, and they're married and all this shit. They don't have any sex, right? And I'm proud.
Do they complain to you about that?
They just say, like, fuck it, I don't even want to have sex. And
wow.
But both sides, the female and the male, like, I hear from both sides.
Wow.
But my wife and I, we're consistent, and we enjoy, and I love her for that. And she's probably gonna hate that I said this on the podcast. It's part of the game, though. Yeah, it's part of the game, though. It's intimate, and I have mad respect for her, and she knows that. So, but I would say that the communication's very aligned now, and she has things that she brings up now, and I have total respect for that. And if I'm not going to travel to New York this week, it's okay. I'm going to step back, and it will come back later. And we travel together, so I'm bringing her next week to Miami.
Amazing.
So we're working on that concept. How can I bring her with me to all the places? Because I get to meet a lot of cool people. We get to do a lot of things. We have friends in the crowd right now in the podcast room. They no one can see, but they're friends. They want to just jam. You bring people together.
She has a corporate job, right?
Yeah.
How does that dynamic?
She loves it. She doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. She loves working with the people she works with. And listen, her mind is focused on that. She works as hard as she can during that time, and then her mind's free. And she does her thing. And I just don't know what that is. I've never done that, right? So I did that as a kid, as a warehouse, like packing boxes. But I knew that wasn't permanent, right? So for her, I don't know, she likes the corporate structure and the stability. I have no stability. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's no stability. I think that I love that, to be honest with you. She loves the opposite. I think that works well together. I don't think we'd work well if we were both entrepreneurs.
You
both
said
people
something
taking the light.
really big right there. You said kind of scared to grow up. What does that mean?
My whole life I've been scared to grow up because to me it means getting older. And what I mean by that is not the age. I mean, like, tired. Society has taught us, at least in my life, and I don't know if this is with you guys, but always, like, you get old, your joints hurt. You get old, you can't work out, you can't play hockey anymore. You get old, you got to take care of your kids, you got to pay the bills. It's got to be the bills, taxes, all these things. You just keep hearing those things, like, consistently over time, people complaining, and eventually it becomes ingrained. And I think it's ingrained in me that, when you turn 30, I'm 31 now, medical issues are a problem, and you become lazier, and then you start to believe it a little bit, and things happen. My joints were hurting last year. I was injured for like a whole year, but I think it was in my head. I swear a lot of it was mental, where I convinced myself I was more injured than I was. And it was easier to just sit in bed and, go to bed at 8, or have the tea at night, which is no judgment. Like, that's totally cool. But I've always been scared to lose the child, which has made me great. The curiosity that we talked about earlier, the authenticity, that's my child. I think that a society tells you as you get older, lose the child. It's the opposite
that's
that
bullshit.
You should do.
That's
bullshit.
the naysayers.
It's the naysayers. But I think that I got conned into that lifestyle, and it still has little effects on me. And even I've pushed off a lot of things, buying a house. Like, it sounds weird. I rent, which I love renting.
I love renting.
I love renting, but
Yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah.
no, but like all my boys and all my friends are buying homes.
It's the right thing to do. It's the mature thing to do.
It's the mature thing, and I'm not judging them. But at the end of the day, what I'm scared of is what happens when I do that.
Exactly.
What's next? I don't know what that is. I live very like spontaneous, and can I live spontaneous as growing up? I don't know.
Because you feel trapped at the idea of owning a home. You feel trapped because
Held down.
you
You feel
right
trapped
now.
or you feel scared? Like
A mix of
nervous
both.
of the what actually.
Well, mix
behind
of
the
both.
store.
Responsibility is definitely one, but trapped in terms of like, okay, well now I'm a house. I have to use
to
it.
get this house,
There's
yeah.
windows you have to redo. You have to do these things. I can't move now. Now I can't just go to Florida and move for 3 months and come back.
Right.
Or I could, but I got to get over that hump of the self-limiting belief that's telling me you cannot do that past the box.
I think it's one of those things that we all deal with. And it's an interesting part because we're around the same age, right? All of us are around the same age. And we started business when we were really young. Like I think your first business, you were what, in your teens?
Yeah.
Like me.
Fitness.
So yeah, we've been in the same circle for a long time.
It's wild.
For a
Freedom
long,
though. It's a lot of freedom.
Right. But we built our life on freedom.
Yep.
And we've built our life on proving other people wrong, right? One thing that's true about you is no matter everything you did, and I remember this, there's always someone out there, other people in the background, this guy's this guy's that.
Making fun of, judging,
yeah,
fail,
idiot,
want you
this,
to fail.
that.
Yep.
And your whole life, and I had the same way, where we had to prove people wrong because we're 18, 19, slinging things, trying to make money, trying to make it happen. And over time, you were able to actually do that. Are you at the end of your story yet? No, absolutely not.
No.
I don't think any of us are. But you're at the point where you're like, you know what? I'm starting to believe my own shit. I'm starting to believe in like all these things I've been saying for the last 7-8 years. Look around, right? It's starting to happen. But within that, you've built a safety net.
Yep.
And that safety net is the freedom, is the ability to do whatever you want when you want to do it, is the ability to have an idea and go out there and execute it. It's to wake up in the morning.
And be possible.
Yeah. As you grow up, and grow up is an interesting word for us.
Yeah. It's
As you grow up, it involves less and less freedom and putting the power back into other people's hands.
Yep.
And I'm curious, is there, like for me, there's fear around it, but I'm curious for you, is it fear? Is it, are you scared that things won't grow the same? Are you scared you'll become a different person? What do you think's holding you back?
So I don't think different person. I think that I won't be able to do what I do now. Like I think it's going to change my character and change my. And what I mean by character is in business. I feel like I'm not going to be able to take the stages that I like to take, as much. And this could all be me telling myself this, right? Telling the story. But at the end of the day, I'm fearful. I'm scared. I'm scared to grow up. I think that's my biggest fear actually now is that. And it has consequences that, by the way, because then I'm delaying things, and then it creates a tension, right? And especially in personal life, like things. People always say to me, "Jake, it's time to grow up," or like, and I'll never forget, like when we started my third business, Midday Squares, people were like, maybe it's time to get a real job. But what does that mean, a real job? I don't understand that terminology. The guy was like, he's a great banker friend of mine, and he does really well financially, in my opinion. But he told me it's time to get a real job. What is that? Like that's fucked up, in my opinion. But that could kill your energy, right? That could kill your momentum, and then that kills freedom. But what I can tell you over the last 12 years or whatever it was of building businesses, I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unfeel what I felt, meaning that freedom is your choice most of the time. Obviously, there's certain scenarios in the world where people live, they don't have necessarily the same freedom. But I think where we are, and the idea is I can't unsee what I've been able to do, so I never will not choose the freedom. And that means, how can I align that in growing up? How can I mix that in with being free while growing up? Like there can't be a double-edged sword, one or the other. I think the society has made it seem that way, but you've built a great business. You've built a great business against all odds. Both of you guys, you're not supposed to win.
No.
Both your businesses
bro.
weren't supposed to win. You guys proved the opposite, and you did the impossible. I'm hopefully doing the impossible, taking a chocolate bar, building it to a business that didn't need to happen. So I think knowing that, I think we could do the growing up and freedom together, to be honest with you. Look, they're going to land on Mars. Guys, we're going to land a human on Mars in the next 4 or 5 years. The next decade, they're going to land someone on Mars, bro. Yeah. Told me that when we grew up. I would have said, you're out of your fucking mind. Anything's possible,
Anything is. Dude, it's been a crazy story. I mean, I still think about the kids in high school being like, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never go to college. It's funny how those little conversations.
Now they say they know you. They're like, oh yeah, I know Chris. I know Aaron. They're my friends in high school.
DMs all the time.
DMs, yep.
Dude, but that's whack.
Exactly.
Like Vince Vaughn once said the most epic thing at his speech, where there was a speech, he won an award, and I love Vince Vaughn. Like, what an actor that guy is. Hilarious. And he said, my high school friends are going to thank me. Everyone to my high school graduate class, you're welcome. And the idea was, oh yeah, I went to school with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
These are the stories. Oh yeah, I saw him at the party. And the guy, him and I, we had a hug. Yeah, but, so I think that we all went through something similar where we were all doubted. We were all, we were all, we're trying to win against all odds, and we have the resilience to keep going.
Exactly.
And even what you guys do at the Founders Club, like, you guys are trying to disrupt the space, right? And it's not supposed to work. Like the odds are against you guys but you guys are grinding away because you know it's possible. You know that there's an ability to make this happen, and it's your choice.
And I think the coolest thing is, like, now 10 years into this entrepreneurial journey, like, we're just so much better than we were when we started this. When you're first
You're a
slinging
whole different
juices.
human.
Dude, it's just like, we cannot be stopped. We will not lose. And it's just having that, like, unwavering faith that, like, no matter what, like, this business is going to work.
I think
And
failure and
month over
adversity is
month.
everything that you need. You need it. It's a prereq for any type of opportunity for success. I'm not going to say guaranteed success, but every failure that I had, heartbreak, every failure that we've got in business, rejection, legal battle, anything that's happened has turned into something great after, and either I've avoided in the future or something like that, or I've learned and took that and said, now I'm more knowledgeable than I was before, because not everyone goes through failure. Most people live a non-risk life, so they can't fail.
And that goes back to the conflict, right? It's like, I try to lead my teams where whenever we have meetings, it's like, start with negative feedback, right? Rip apart my website, rip apart what I do.
Trash me,
get me better. It's the only way that I'm going to get better is if I lead with negative feedback. The positive feedback is that we're on 120 flights a year. We're seeing the world. We'd bitch about sitting in economy all day long, but we're flying across the world.
You sit in middle seats though?
No middle seats. Always aisle.
I draw the line there.
Always aisle.
So our friend Mike, our friend Mike.
I'm on the window, buddy.
Yeah, window.
Give me the window.
I'm aisle. I piss like crazy. Yeah. And I hate.
You guys both have a
to interrupt people is tough. Yeah.
Especially
on flights. I'm
a camel,
down in
buddy.
caffeine, guys.
Give me a 14-hour flight. I won't get up once.
No way.
Okay, but Mike Vada taught me something, and it's an interesting. It could be a controversial thing a little bit in terms of traveling. He said, I know he's had a successful outcome in business now, and that's fair to say that he has had success and he has the ability to spend on this. But he says, invest in business class on longer flights. And the reason why he says this is because when you're going to, let's say you have a 5-hour flight, and I think that's relatively long, and you have a very important meeting that afternoon or the next day. If you're not well rested and you're feeling stressed, your body's feeling like, ill, let's call it, you're not going to perform as good as you performed. So for the extra $700, which is a lot of money, as an entrepreneur at any stage of your business, maybe it's worth it, because if that 700 comes back in the meeting, your performance, then it was worth it. So Mike Vada told me, so now I start to see some business class, and now I'm like, fuck, how can I get out of this now? But then budgets kick, and it's like, but my partners and I do something different. So the business will pay for anything economy, so whatever, and then we pay the difference. And because I fly all the time, I have all these e-upgrades, Air Canada e-upgrades, so I just fucking use the e-upgrades, and so I get my business, but I actually do feel better when I land. I feel more relaxed, less anxiety, less anxiousness. So when I go to the meeting, I'm like, I'm jacked up.
Yeah, there's nothing like 1A. 1A
is a powerful seat.
1A is a powerful seat.
It's also a network. Like, I network people with all. Yesterday I was in the flight, and I was talking to this guy. And he's like, "Oh shit, that person's eating a midday square." What do? I get up, I go up to her. We have a huge conversation. She's in the food industry. We start talking, connect with me. Blah blah blah. Momentum. When I get back to Montreal, we're hanging out. You got to make your luck too, But so I think environment is critical, and travel, like you said, we're bitching around because we do complain about some of the stuff, but at the end of the day, the people I've gotten to meet on this journey, even the friendships that we've built together as the three of us, I value that. Like I don't think I would have had that if I didn't choose the route I chose in life. And again, it comes back to choice. Let's nail choice. You have a choice to do what you want. And I'm not saying an entrepreneur is better than a career professional. They're not. You could kill it in your life and your career. You could kill it in your entrepreneur journey. But what I could tell you is whatever makes you feel more alive, do that.
Yeah. And you talk about it a lot. Like, none of this happens. This podcast doesn't happen. All of our hangouts don't happen without us sharing content online. Right?
Build out loud.
Without us being vulnerable. I think you said it was like, nobody could tell your story better than you. So for everybody listening, everybody watching, thinking, hey, what am I going to share that's different amongst the three of these people? It's like, it's your story.
24 hours a day, they live their story. You and I, we all live our story 24 hours. You might not find it interesting. I think we all find our story somewhat interesting, to be honest with you. But I don't know your story 24 hours. I don't know yours. And now that you're documenting yours, I'm getting to know you even deeper than I know you, right? Everyone has a fucking story, yet none of us use their story. And I think that that's something that people need to get on the track. We live in a world of digital. Like we're connected through our phones. We're connected through internet. Why are you not putting yourself out there? You literally have like a rocket launcher, and instead of using the rocket launcher, you're using a helmet.
Yeah.
Right.
Use the fucking bazooka, and I promise you, someone's gonna notice it. So you don't know who's in the room. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's listening to your podcast. You don't know who's in that college classroom. That could be 5 students. Someone said to me, "Why waste your time with 5 students?" What do you mean, why waste my time? That student can change my whole business potentially. That student can change my life personally. I could become friends with that person. I think people have this thing. It's like this idea of not possible, or that a waste of time. It's only a waste of time if you think it's a waste of time. What you do, I might think is strange, but what you do, you might believe it's amazing. Who am I to tell you that it's not?
Yeah.
Who are you to tell me mine's not, right?
One thing that I think a lot of people forget, especially when it comes to building a personal brand, I want to get into it because I think you're one of the best at doing it.
Trying.
You're definitely doing it. Is you can't just do the bazooka online.
Bazooka's
from your office or from your bedroom or whatever, and expect things to happen. We brought it up earlier in this podcast, but I want to bring it up again. There is so much power in actually showing up, right? I've known people for so long on the internet. Like, we talk all the time. Sometimes we have internet friends that I've never met that I probably speak to more than people I know in real life. But there's nothing like when you spend an hour, 2 hours, a day or two in person. We just did it in Tulum at the Founders Club retreat. Like, we spent less than 72 hours together.
And literally real friendships remain.
Real friends, dude.
Like
Every
lifelong
day.
friendships.
I talk to all those people. I'm sending snaps. Our boy, there's a guy named Zach. I love that guy. That guy's all the time. He FaceTimes me at 7:30 in the morning every Monday. We have a good 30-minute kibitz of it's nonsense. It's the best thing ever.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You guys put together a place where people showed up, like you said, and built something meaningful. And what happens in those scenarios is you actually connect with energy. Through a screen is a little harder. It's important. It supplements.
Surface level.
It's surface level. But when you go deeper, even this podcast, we're in person, we're talking to each other.
Exactly.
It goes deeper. So I think that, again, that retreat was, I'm not saying this because you guys are here, I actually thoroughly enjoyed the friendships that were built, the content that was made, and the depth we went. I was telling Mike before we went, I was like, I don't know what to expect. Like, I love you, both of you, but I was like, well, who's going to be there? What's the vibe, And I left there, and I swear to God, you asked my wife. I came back, I was fired up. I was like, I made new friends. These are the type of people I want to be around because the energy was contagious. The showing up, you got to know someone at a deeper level. I got someone's life story in literally an hour, sitting to have a coffee with them on the beach there. We talked, and it went so deep to the point where I knew so much shit about them that I was like, I feel like I know you for 30, 40 years, But that's the part, power showing up. I really don't believe I really believe it's harder to win if you don't show up in life, but it's way easier to win if you actually show up. And that's why I get on planes and you guys get on planes, even if it's a 10-minute meeting. That 10 minutes could be the game changer.
It's the biggest hack I found. I mean, just last month, I flew to Dubai with really no plan. I had a friend that invited me to F1. I didn't know if that included a ticket or not.
You were unsure.
I was unsure, but I was like, you know
It's an
what?
expensive ticket.
I'm gonna go. I flew middle seat, back of the plane. Mike Fata ripped me.
You cranked your neck or why? Why'd you crank your neck
He
on there?
ripped me with the longest message of all time. This time, I'm not gonna do that anymore. So it worked.
You learned the lesson.
His message landed. It definitely landed. And I remember getting there and really no real plan. And long story short, I end up at a networking dinner. Then I get invited to an actual dinner, and I'm at this actual dinner and 30-40 minute dinner, and I have a lifelong friend who then invites me to another thing, which then lands me at Vegas, and then I'm back at Vegas with you, and we're doing that conference, and all because I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go and meet people. We ended up hosting our first Founders Club event in Dubai.
International, baby.
Those people ended up coming to Tulum.
Yeah.
Yep.
They ended up they flew all the way from Dubai to Tulum.
I was in Uber with them the driver that you guys had sent us. We had a 2-hour drive to cut the thing, and he was like, "Yo, dude, I've been traveling, bro." He's like, "This is fucked." He's like, "This better be fucking great." And he had the time of his life, but remember, he was exhausted, but he showed up.
And that is the story. And we can do this all day. Hey, tell me about a time where you met someone at an airport, ended up being like this and that. For me, I got invited to a charity event in Montreal, actually, to pitch. It was a Jewish fundraiser to pitch. They call it Lion's Den, Where we
What did you do? Get like a
dude,
like
we
a
stood up and
thing?
we pitched like 5 super rich Montrealers, right? Like the poker stars.
There's some good wealth in Montreal.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, deep pockets.
Very deep. Yeah, very tight, but very
Tight.
deep.
Montreal's tight. They don't give unless you deep connect.
Tight and deep, yeah. Like
I gotta love
the
Montreal.
top of the pocket's very small, but it goes like this, you know?
But if you open it, it goes deep.
It goes deep, yeah. And so it was 350 people in the crowd, and we're live pitching. Like, we're standing up there, and I'm like thinking to myself before, I'm like, what am I doing here? Like some guy on LinkedIn messaged me, like, yo, come to this thing. Next thing you know, I'm in Montreal, and it's dead winter, January 20th.
Snowstorms.
And yeah, it was awful. And I walked, whatever. The whole thing was a disaster. Long story short, we win pitch of the night. So we win money, but we have to donate to the charity. So it was like kind of a thing. It was all good. I go home. Someone in the crowd goes, you got to meet my friend. I said, no problem. I'll meet your friend. That friend ends up being the guy that bought our business.
Holy fuck. That's crazy. No, but this story is fucking powerful because that's a monumental thing in your life. That's a moment in your life that changed a lot of direction, right? And simply for showing up to a charity event.
There was a million times for that event, and like, you know, my co-founder and I would still have funny texts about it. We're like, yo, what are we doing? Why are we going? We have to pay for it ourselves. We have to put ourselves in a hotel. We have to bring our team.
It takes work.
Like, we don't know we don't know anything about these guys. Some people are pitching in French. We're pitching in English. Half the crowd doesn't understand.
Tabarnak, Moise. An advantage.
You guys are yelling at us. Like the one guy gave us, like, he gave it, like, the host was only French, so like we don't know what the hell's going on. It was a disaster. The whole thing was a disaster. And we left, and we're like, what do we do that for? And the next thing you know, hey, you got to meet my friend. And we weren't even going to meet the friend. We're like, who's this guy? You get a million messages.
And you showed up.
But you show up. You show up to that meeting. You show up to that call. You show up to those opportunities to meet in person. You never know where it's going to land. And hiding in your room, hiding in your office, as an entrepreneur, to me, is the biggest risks that you can be taking.
Why would you? Like, I get it. Like, there's ops people that need to be in there, but I still think they need to be out on the road. I still think they need to meet people. They're building the core of these businesses. The core is critical for people to know, right? And I think that when you tell that story, it's like, yeah, like, it's easy to convince yourself out of anything, by the way. You could say, why would I go to this? It's expensive, it's cold. I don't need to do it, right? I'll go to the next one. Yep. I can go to the next one. And then you keep compounding that. I'll go to the next one. And then somebody else is winning against you there. Someone else is going there. Not that everything's a competition, but I'm competitive to a certain extent. So I like taking things. And look, don't take things where you're burning yourself out completely, which I did, and it was a horrible experience. But I think that at the end of the day, one of the greatest lessons of building businesses is if you show up, you're going to give yourself a chance at something happening. Some sort of thing happening. It could be good or bad, but it's not going to be average. So, like, you know, but or if you sit in a crowd and don't do anything, that's your choice too. You need to not just go. You need to go act. You got to be yourself. You got to. I always shake hands. I always say to someone, "What's up?" And they're like, "Do I know you?" And I'm like, "No, but let's jam." But here I am. And then when you're vulnerable, people are like, it brings their wall down. The ego comes down because look, we're all humans. We're all in the same game here. We're all playing it. Like, you know, like everything's a fugazi most of the time. People are making shit up on the spot, doing this, blah blah blah. And I think if you just yourself, it strikes right through, and it's an energy that's contagious.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about just showing up, is there something post midday scores that you still have in the back of your head that you haven't that you?
So we do everything in 3-year tours. So like right now we're on our 3rd tour, so it's just started. So we put a 3-year game plan. We're all committed to that, no matter what, 150%, and we'll get to where that 3 years is, and I really believe we will. And that unlocks another thing. And if we want to take another 3-year tour, we'll decide. But everything's in 3 years. I definitely want to be in some sort of media angle. I love content creation. I love being out there. I love taking stages. I think Midday Square is a chapter in my life, and it's a big chapter, but my identity is not tied to it, and I'm slowly starting to realize that, and that's a powerful thing for every entrepreneur is you're not defined by your business. That's part of your game, and it's a big part of you, but you have so much. You built this, so obviously it's not just that. You have built it with many skill sets of other things, and so I'm working on that right now, and how does that happen? We'll see over the next 3 years, but I'm trying to not step back from the business, but I want the business to not rely on Jake, Nick, and Leslie, because if it does, you said it before, if we ever do want to be acquired, we need to have the business be sustainable without us. That being said, we are valuable to the organization, but the business still runs without us being part of it.
Exactly. And I always thought, like, as I was building, company could go bust tomorrow, but they'll never take the personal brand. The personal brand will keep me alive
Chris
forever.
is going to be the fucking winner forever.
I will always have a job. I will always be employable. I'll always be fine because I have this brand that I dedicated time to building.
And you become unstoppable, right?
Exactly.
You are unstoppable for Chris. You are unstoppable for Aaron, not just because of the Founders Club, not because of Hush, not because of CrossNet. It's because you guys are you. And I think that it takes a long time to value that. And I think I'm 70% there, not 100% there, but I've realized that if midday squares crashes tomorrow, like you said, I'll be good. And I can't unsee what I've seen. I can't unexperience what I've experienced, which I believe is tools for my toolbox. And I don't know, I think that it's very dangerous to be tied to your identity, and you'll go to, it's like sports, the athletes, the NHL players, the NFL players. I spoke to so many of NFL guys that had 4-year stunts, and then they're really depressed, and they're like, what do I do next? It's like, babe, you are a machine. Your ability for discipline, for focus is crazy. You as a professional athlete worked your bum off, your fucking ass off to get to accomplish the number one in the world in terms of what you do. Why can't you apply that now to something else? And it's just about that mindset thing, but their identity is so tied to it. So I've worked on getting the identity a little bit less. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to wear loud and proud midday squares and talk about it all the time, but it just means that I'm more than that.
Yep.
What would you say to someone listening to this? They have a business and they're debating, do I start a personal brand? Do I not start a personal brand?
You have to. And
they go, okay, you know what? I know I have to. Where would you say is the best place for them to start?
I think you need a collaborative approach. Like I think Instagram and LinkedIn together. I think Instagram, you have the ability to tell stories on your day to day, so people can keep up with who you are, and they're in a little bit more of a friendly environment on Instagram. Like they're like fun, and they're looking for entertainment and. But I think LinkedIn, you can build your business really quickly within industry. So like if you need to get into retailers, for example, they're on there. That's where they're taking their education from, or on X, but X is a lot more, you have to be ready for that platform. But I think LinkedIn's easy to just go because you could jump out from the crowd really fast if you're just different. Everyone's posting job interviews and job resumes and all that stuff on LinkedIn. You put a little bit of personal, a little bit of you in there, it automatically spikes because people are like, who the fuck is this? They might hate you, but eventually if they see you being consistent, they're gonna be like, I actually respect Chris and Aaron. They're being real. Like this is who they are. When I used to dance, people would say, make fun of me. You said, they're like, this guy's a joke, he's a gimmick. It's like he's doing it. He looks like an idiot. But then they start to see it consistently, week over week, and now they long for it. And now those same people that used
Chris
to
does that all the time to me. He wakes up, and if you don't post a video, he just won't get out of bed. He's like,
I love my little.
He's like, where's the Jake?
No, it's Stuart.
I love
that guy is famous.
To my mom, I send it to everybody.
Happiness, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the power. And if you're gonna build a personal brand, Instagram aligned with LinkedIn, I think you need to just not worry about views, not worry about engagement. Just post your shit.
What about time commitment? I'm too busy building the business.
No, 2 hours in the morning. Fuck it, why not? Like
2 hours?
I spend 2 hours. I wake up, I fucking go on a treadmill, I walk, and I spend time looking through content creation that I think. Like I think of creative ideas, I write them down, and if I post it, I like it, I post it. If I don't, I don't. And then on Instagram, I think what's interesting in my life, I'll share it with the world. I'm in Miami now. We're doing a podcast. I'll post it. We had a great fucking conversation because it's going to be a great podcast. Yeah, but it's that simple.
But it's you literally do 2 hours every morning, like that?
Around 2 hours.
Calendar day.
It's calendar. LinkedIn takes a lot longer than Instagram for me. I have a team at Midday Squares that edits videos, so I take a lot of those videos for my own stuff, so that saves a bit of time. But at the beginning, I used to do it myself. And look, I used to take 3 hours because I used to spend time editing, and I think editing is a valuable skill.
Of course.
But I think storytelling is the most powerful skill. The ability to make a story out of something that you are doing. So, like we talked about bed bugs and hotels. I tell a funny story when I'm on a hotel, like this is my routine, this is the hack. But then they see that I'm grinding. Guess what? Oh, Jake's in Miami. I want to connect with him. There's always a storyline, right? So I think that takes a muscle to practice, and it took me a very long time to become a storyteller. And I'm still not perfect. I still have a long way to go. But again, I just try things, and if someone doesn't like it, what's the worst case?
Yeah.
They don't buy your CrossNet. They don't buy Midday Squares. They don't want to see me again. Scroll past. There's 8 billion people in the fucking world?
Exactly.
There's no shortage.
Yeah, and they want to be entertained, man. I think about my corporate job, sitting in my little cube. The only social media I was allowed to use was LinkedIn because it was the only
it's corporate.
It was corporate. I wanted to be entertained, but I was pretending that I was working. I was working, right? I was selling people. I was in their DMs.
Chris at corporate's legendary.
Dude, but I got to see Jake in the newsfeed, right? Jake's having fun. I want to be like Jake. I want to buy Midday
Makes
Squares.
them feel something.
Exactly. You're entertaining them and you're saving their day because their day sucks.
And a lot of people.
Grind.
Anyone that feels like they're trapped. Again, not by the growing up, but by I think career, because career takes a long part of your life. I think it's dangerous, and they look for that escapism that you're talking about. And if you could be part of that escapism, you are a legend.
100%.
And they're not going to just love Jake. Guess what? If they love Jake, they're going to go, when they go to Target or they go to Whole Foods or they go to Costco Canada and they see Midday Squares, they're like, oh, I want to cheer Jake on. I want to support him. Boom, purchase.
Tell your wife I follow Jake on LinkedIn. I'm going to move the
revenue.
Yep.
Momentum. Brand building, fan base, it all keeps going. Now, the danger is when things go wrong, when you do something a little bit too crazy, there is a danger to that. People get turned off. and I've turned people off. But you know, at the end of the day, I believe that I'm turning more people on than turning more people off. So the offset's high enough as it compounds.
Momentum, you talk about all the time.
Favorite word.
It's like an adjective. You use it like in halfway through sentences. You describe like, you know,
nonsense talk.
I got on the plane. I saw a girl midday squares. I told her to meet up in momentum. You know, like, you know, you just use momentum to describe anything good in your life. And I'm a huge believer in momentum, but for me, it's something that's very difficult to build and quick to lose. Very quick to lose. Tell me how you think about it. How do you, like, when you lose it, because you do lose it, how do you build it back up? And like, how do you continue to create momentum within your life and your brand?
Little steps. So I think people underestimate the power of little steps. You know, momentum works in two directions. So it could work in the positive, and then it could work in the negative, and they go just as fast. Yeah. You actually said something to me in Vegas the other day, which actually made me think about momentum. You know, I told you I was lost at the Cas. I went in and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to lose, you know, like at the blackjack table. And you said, man, you know, you got to go in like you're going to win. Yeah. Already the shift of the mindset, you come in hot, you start taking a little bit more risk, put the double this, split that, next thing you know, you're winning. Momentum.
It's true.
It's the epitome of momentum. No, but that's what it is. It's a little step that creates some sort of action, that creates a little bit of movement. And if you compound and compound and compound, next thing you know, you're like this, bro. Mm-hmm. Or it's very easy to bathe yourself in negativity, and you just go like this. I had a bad speech once, and I really didn't perform on it. I felt really bad. And I told my wife after I guess I was terrible. Already, I was telling myself I was terrible. I was telling myself I was worse. I was like, I can't do the next one. I don't feel good. It just started going down and down. And then I rejected one. I said, I'm not going to do it because I was scared. But my momentum was moving negative. So I believe it's human's greatest force. It's just a question of what direction do you want to put it in.
You just said something really big. And it's essentially...
Gambling?
Well, I mean, it's the gambling, but it's two things, right? It's one is we are the stories that we tell ourselves. Right. So if the story is like you told me, my story is I go and I lose, and I was like, well, that's a horrible story to tell. Like I go in and I win, and you're like, but we're going to the same table. It's like, yeah, but my story is that I win, and your story is that you lose. Well, however it rolls, we're both going to feel differently about our experience, right? So I think the stories that we tell ourselves are huge. I went on a stage, I had a bad speech. I don't want to do speeches anymore. I let them down. I wasn't performing my best. Now I'm going to turn down speeches, right? That's just a story. Instead of, you know what? I'm not going to bat 100. I'm cool with 90. So if I go one bad one for every 10, we're good. That was the one bad one. I'm going to, you know, come back
on your train.
You see that in sports all the time, especially like I've been playing a lot of paddle recently. Like paddle, like it's not like tennis. Tennis, the ball goes out. You go and you grab it. You walk back. The guy bounces it a few times. You set up. It's like there's like 20 seconds between each ball. Paddle, all the balls are in the court. Like the point is over. You grab the ball and it's like, let's go. You don't have time to even dwell on you losing the point.
It's cool.
And it teaches you to like, okay, what's my story here? That like that was a bad shot because there's another shot coming right away. And that's the same thing in business and the same thing in life. It's like, okay, we have a bad month. We have a bad week. This product's not working. Is that our story? Or can we change the story and change the narrative? And you said something huge. You said small steps.
Yeah.
We do this all the time. Any opportunity you have to celebrate any freaking little win in your business that you don't take and you just let it pass on by, you lost the opportunity to build momentum.
That is powerful, by the way. That should be that is one of the greatest assets that someone can have, because I always say, like, I have a guy on LinkedIn that always comments, oh, stop celebrating, or like he always says, oh, another celebration. No, but it's like, and people that don't like people on LinkedIn, they say, oh, it's a circle this, or the people are just, you know, jazzing themselves up. So, okay, so why do you care? I'm fired up. When I see Chris has a win or you have a win, it actually makes me feel more inspired. It's like these guys I know they're hustling. I know they're trying to build something. So why not celebrate it? When you celebrate, you feel the dopamine kicks. The chemicals go. And when that chemicals go, you have momentum. That chemical is the reaction. Your casino thing, it changed my mind, because I was like, you're right, fuck it. Yeah. Like, I got to have fun. Why am I negative? Why am I coming in already knowing I'm losing? Because then I'm going to act like I'm going to lose.
Somebody watching, dude, like if you're struggling to figure out what the hell to post, any single win is a postable moment.
Anything. And by the way, it's easy to get stuck and say, oh, I don't have anything interesting to say, but who say that? Why isn't it interesting that we're having a fucking great conversation right now? And before the podcast even come, we just filmed a fucking epic, deep conversation, and I learned so much. That is a positive post.
Yeah.
There's something from everything. It's just we as humans tell ourselves no one cares. And you're right. Most people don't think about you. But you might as well, at least the time that you could have on their billboard or on their TV screen or their computer screen, you might as well be the one that does get the attention.
Exactly.
Because most people are scared to share.
Take the views, take the engagement. And like our our small wins now could be monumental wins for somebody starting out.
Warren Buffett always
right?
preached that.
Like even last night, dude, I texted you at like 11 o'clock before bed. The Starbucks founder, who was
Yeah, I heard you guys crushed. That was crazy.
So we had a talk with him last week.
It's insane.
He emailed me last night at 10:30 before I went to bed, introducing me to 3 co-founders that he thought would be perfect for the Founders Club. And I texted him. I'm like, holy fuck! The founder of Starbucks is emailing me.
Yeah, but, you see that, but this is what I'm saying. 2 things from that. Anything's possible, right? You guys were able to bring in the Starbucks founder, who's a legend, built one of the largest food service companies probably in the world, lifestyle brands, in my opinion. Second, you don't know what's going to happen, right? Look at now you're being introduced to another group, right? And you're being introduced to more people. Again, show up, create your own momentum, tell yourself a story that is positive momentum. If you tell yourself a negative, you're never going to get anywhere. I think that you'll at least give yourself the best opportunity to succeed. Doesn't guarantee.
And there's a hack underneath all of this, and we've kind of mentioned it already. We brought up the gambling example, which I'll bring up, but then we'll also bring up the example of Zev, who was fantastic, gave us his time, just an incredible entrepreneur. Is sometimes when you don't have the momentum, it's hard. Okay, you're down. You're just down.
It's guaranteed you will be down.
Yeah, and we can do things, go work out, go for a run, do your best, try to look for a win. Okay, those are all great things. The easiest way that I've found to hack your way back into the green on the momentum side is to actually look for someone else that has the momentum. And that's the secret sauce. The secret's
powerful.
And where do you see it in gambling? What is an experienced
Craps
gambler?
table.
Craps table. But even in
so much
blackjack,
momentum.
So good,
an experienced blackjack person will go up to the blackjack table. Let's say there's one person playing. The first question they ask, "How's it going?"
100% every time.
And he goes, "It's hot." Boom. Pull up
You
the
sit
seat.
down. Momentum.
I'm getting crushed. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because you want to ride someone else's wave.
Yes.
And that's where community comes in place. That's where like the Founders Club comes in place. That's where showing up comes in place. Because you know what? Sometimes you're down in your business. You're like, you know what? Ads are not working. My product sucks. I have so many returns. Someone goes in the group and says, you know what, guys?
Start doing this.
I just did this thing and it's crushing. Just that alone is enough for you to be like, you know what? We can do it too.
We're back.
It works. We can make it happen.
Guys, your environment is critical. The people you hang out with can change everything. You nailed it. Like that creates everything. You could be the worst. You could be going through the worst experience, and just being around someone that has the momentum, it's gonna automatically shift your energy, because how could you not embrace it?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're gonna just tell you to get the fuck out, because someone that has momentum does not want to be around the opposite side. Because they know protecting it is critical.
You gotta protect your momentum.
It's like drugs. I've never done a drug in my life, but at the end of the day, drugs give people a high. They give the fucking momentum.
Yeah.
Same thing with people. When I find someone that's killing and having the time of their life, and I want to hug. I want to just like slurp everything, because I know that that's a drug. Exactly. That's the hack that I think that people forget is don't sit alone. Don't fucking sit and sulk, and maybe sit for a second, feel it, grieve whatever's going through, because there is hard moments that you should grieve. But get on the fucking horse and go find that other racer that's going to fucking allow you to win. When I'm competing against someone that's better than me at paddle or pickleball or ping pong, I'm so fired up. I'm like, I'm smacking and I'm trying to win. But when I'm playing against someone that doesn't give a fuck and it's shit, it actually makes me bring it down. I bring it down. I stop, like outdoor hockey.
Play with a few people like
I play outdoor hockey. And so I was playing the other day outdoor hockey. This is the greatest story. 13-year-old, I don't know, young kid. He comes in, he starts the game. He's like, you want to play? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you're a little young. He's like, okay. And he started playing. He's fucking great. Yeah. So I started going crazy. I was like hype. He starts nailing me. I started hitting back. I didn't give a shit. But the game was so good.
Yes.
We both played unfucking believable, but we kept the competitiveness up, right? But before that, I was playing with someone that was really bad, and I was just like, you know what? I don't want to play anymore.
Exactly.
Because it could just demotivate your whole process. So that's the life hack of this show. I think that's the most important thing we talked about, to be honest, too.
I agree.
It's not only so important, but also this is a really important topic that I really want to bring up. There's 2 types of people, okay, specifically when it comes to momentum. And I'm curious how you deal with it, but I just want to bring it to light, because I think anyone who's listening to this is going to understand it. There's 2 types of people. There's people who just plug in and they just drain the battery. They're professionals, right?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. There's very few people that plug in and give. And life is beautiful. Sometimes you give, sometimes you take, but it's a back and forth. And that's what a great partnership is, you know?
Yep.
I mean, we have that all the time. Sometimes I'm super hot, sometimes Chris super hot, and you got to
It's the art.
You got to have that art. Yeah, that's the beauty. That's the dance, right?
Yep.
How do you avoid the people? Because you are a magnetic force. People are gravitating towards you all the time, right?
Yep.
You're a light. Every time I've gone to conferences with you,
Yep.
I've seen what happens after we get off stage.
It's fun.
Or you get off stage.
People hang out.
You're bamboozled. People want things, and it's awesome. It gives you energy.
Yep.
They give you
Fires me up more.
It fires you up even more. But there's some people that latch on, and although we're recommending to get in front of other people that have momentum and to like bring on to that, I think I want to bring something to light where it's like you also need to understand that a good community member is someone that leads first with what they can give.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably something I learned. I used to just take from people, and then I realized that I need to offer value. And the reason why is because someone gives you their time, or someone makes you feel good. Like, you know, there's only so much you can keep going for. If you just kept going, eventually they're busy, they're tired, they have so many things. Like, you got to be valued to their life too. Exactly. Whether that be just a hug that they need a hug and you give them that hug, that's an energy. So I think that for me is like, I try to avoid people that drain at all costs, because I realize that is the vampire of life, and it can depress you, it can burn you out. And it happened to me 2 years ago. I literally was taking every opportunity. You, let's do this, let's do that. Next thing you know, I don't even know who I am. Because guess what? I'm giving everything to everyone else, and then I never took time to recharge my Tesla. And I always say, we are all Teslas at the end of the day. We are all electric cars, because you only have so much battery, right? You could be at the highest battery, but you still need to go home and charge in the fucking tank. You know, or if you're filling up with gas, you need gas to run your car. So I think that the critical thing is avoid vampires at all costs. The way to find a vampire is very simple. You meet them, you have a 1-minute conversation. Very quickly, you know if this person is going to give you energy or is going to unlock your energy, is going to remove it. And I know within a snap finger, and if I know that person's that, I start to avoid that and I stay away. And I know, because humans give themselves pretty quickly, unless they're professional scammers or something like that, which there are some, and you know, you watch them Catch Me If You Can and things like that. There are professionals. They're, you know, the magicians and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, most people, within the first minute, you know. And once you train your muscle to know that, which I worked so hard to do, you stop having the vampires. So then you could find people that are not vampires. What do we call them? Energizer bunnies, let's call them. You look for the Energizer bunnies, you eliminate the vampires, train your muscle to identify it as fast as possible. The moment you identify it, maybe it's just not for you, and you say to them politely, don't be rude, but you say, I gotta answer this question, and you go to the next person. And I think that happens with people also in classes that I give lectures. They'll ask tons of questions, and they won't let other people go, but I know that this person's just vampiring. So I go to the Energizer bunny, and then there's a lot more energy, and the whole class gets momentum. It's a crazy situation. No one wants vampires in life, and we all have been a vampire at one point in our life too. So you know who that person, you know how that person acts, right? Like, you can't not say you were not a vampire at one point. Like we've all sucked energy off somebody.
5 minutes of your time. I need 5 minutes of your time.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you got to protect your time too. Like,
absolutely.
You know, that's one of your biggest value is
your
protection.
number one value.
Energy.
Yeah.
Mitochondria.
Jake, before we wrap it up here, I want you to quickly, if you can just imagine little 5-year-old Jake here, and let's say he was sitting in the audience.
We have an audience.
We have an audience today, and you know, he was able to come up here to the table and not knowing what's to come for the rest of his life, right? Or for at least the next 25-ish years of his life. What would you say to that version, to that child?
I would do it back to the book I want to write. It's all irrelevant. And I would remind him that we don't know people from 1901 or 1902, and that's not that long ago. And that way that you got to live presently and give yourself 100% every moment that you have, because it's going to end and it's going to be irrelevant down the line. So you might as well make it relevant in the moment. And if you live like that, you're going to be hopefully relevant to whatever your legacy is, but it shouldn't matter that. It should be mattering what we're doing right now. The conversation you and I are having today is the only thing that matters in the current moment. My investor meeting after this does not matter right now. What matters is I'm worried about this. And if you think like that, I think that baby Jake would have been even stronger than I am today. Because for me, all I cared about was the external proving at one point in my life for maybe 15, 20 years. And it led me to do things that, you know, they did make me somewhat great, but a lot of it brought me down. And I think that if I knew it was all irrelevant, I just would have taken that direction a lot more. And I don't know where I'd be, but I think I'd be at the next 10 years ahead of Jake today. It's all irrelevant. That's the book. I promise. In 5 years, the book will be written. And I already started writing chapters, like notes of it. But I think It's All Irrelevant is also a bold title too. Like, it will hopefully create people's present momentum if you think about it.
I mean, I totally believe in that. I think, and it's so hard to get, you know, almost your head out of the gutter. You know, I think about it all the time, especially when, you know, I still get moments where people, either say things to me or I get some sort of feedback that I don't like, or something bad happens, or a competitor copies my shit, like whatever it is. There's so many trigger points. In fact, I had one like a week ago.
Someone triggered you?
Yeah, like someone essentially just like responded to an email, just
Negative.
essentially like just discrediting anything I said in the email, and there was like a moment where I was like, and then I had to like go for a walk, and I was like, ask myself, I'm like, why do I give a shit? Like I actually don't care about this person or the email, but I hated the fact that someone like discredited my stuff. It was like my ego was hurt,
which is human,
but it was all irrelevant.
It is,
and I haven't even thought of that email literally till right now,
Happened this morning. I woke up, somebody's talking shit on our community.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Here's another
community.
one.
I'm like, fuck you, block. Like,
because you don't need them in your life. And like, again, trolling's going to happen. We're all putting ourselves out there. And if you can't handle trolls, I don't think this game's for you. I think at the end of the day, because thick skin, and you got to be able to, but feel it. Like, it's important to feel it, but like, it's also important to just keep living your life. And we're all irrelevant, guys. So at the end of the day, if they tell you you're ugly, they tell you you're ugly, they tell me I'm ugly. So okay, so my wife finds me good looking. So, I hope you guys find me good looking.
Yeah.
I respect you guys. So
and we have great sex. So you know what? Leave me alone.
Great fucking sex. I love you, Melissa.
Jake, man, thank you so much. You came down to Miami, my man. You've been a huge value to Canadians. I think what you're doing in Canada is fantastic. Canadian entrepreneurship is down. It's in the dog shit. I think what you do on a regular basis is valuable. People don't even realize what you do for Canadians.
Thank you.
I think if I looked at your LinkedIn and the millions of people that watch your stuff, I would bet life savings that majority of your eyeballs are in Canada still.
Yep.
And
just getting started though.
Yeah. And it's a huge testament, and no one understands the impact that you're having. I see it because we get to do, every time we activate in Canada, it's a crazy road show.
Well, you hope we're coming back. I hope you guys are coming back.
We're coming back. We have Montreal. We have Montreal in the summer.
In April, I believe.
We're doing that with you.
We're gonna blow this one. It's going to be huge.
I'm excited for that.
We're going to make momentum.
So anyone that's listening to this, and I know you know Midday Squares because you see them at your local grocery store, and you might have heard of Canada. You might have only been to Montreal for a bachelor party or something.
Yeah, BPs.
What you're doing there is fantastic.
Appreciate it.
And it comes a long way. And the fact that you flew here for this means a lot. The fact that you flew to Tulum, the fact that you're a great advocate for the Founders Club, that you promote community. I think I don't say this to you enough, but it really means a lot to us as entrepreneurs. And we love you, brother.
We're going to win big. Let's fucking go, baby.
Appreciate it,
Momentum. I love you guys.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Founder to Founder podcast. And I have one favor, just one favor to ask. It's the only favor I'll ever ask from you. And if you liked what you listened to please like, subscribe, and please just leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how we can make it better. We are all in on delivering value to you, and all we ask in return is that you hit that subscribe. It goes a long way for what we're trying to build here. And as always, we post an episode every single Wednesday, so stay tuned, and thank you for tuning in.